We begin this hour with breaking news here in Toronto, where organizers of Canada's biggest film festival took an unprecedented move today. After mounting controversy, they have suspended a screening of a documentary about Russian soldiers. Sarah Galashan has been tracking that developing story for us. She joins us back again here on Canada Tonight. So Sarah, for our viewers now, kind of walk us through what we know about this film and now, of course, this decision by the film festival.
Yeah, Angie, well, the film we're talking about is called Russians at War. It's a first-person documentary. It was filmed by filmmaker Anastasia Trofimova, who is Russian-Canadian herself. She spent 7 months following Russian soldiers and medics on the front lines of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, documenting their stories, telling their perspectives, showing how they were at times questioning their allegiances and the directives they were being given, and at times as well documenting their deaths. There are those critics who describe this and insist that this is propaganda. The Toronto International Film Festival, though, TIFF, it has supported. It selected this film and supported it, and has, to this point, insisted that it's important to understand the context here, the long history of colonization that has led to this moment in time. But now, today, they have issued a press release saying that they are pressing pause on tomorrow, Friday's scheduled premiere of, or North American premiere of Russians at War. It was supposed to happen tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as well, they're pressing pause on subsequent showings that were scheduled for over the weekend. The statement they have put out says, they say that this is an unprecedented move. This has been an incredibly difficult decision when we select films. We are guided by TIFF's mission, our values, and our programming principles. But the organization also explains that they believe that there were significant threats to festival operations and public safety if they had moved forward, and so that is the reason that they are pressing pause. Now, it is not something that law enforcement was calling for. CBC has reached out to the Toronto police, who say that they did anticipate that there would be protests, given that there were protests following a press screening that happened earlier this week. But as such, they had planned to have police officers on site at the premiere in order to ensure that there was public safety. It certainly is, though, something that critics were calling for, specifically leaders of the Ukrainian Canadian community. As well, this is a Canadian production. Like I said, this is a Russian-Canadian filmmaker. And it received $340,000 in funding from TVO. The media fund now is distancing itself from the project and saying that they will not be moving forward with scheduled airings of this film. And Canada's Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, earlier this week, she questioned at a press conference, it was unrelated, but she was asked about it, whether or not public money should be spent on a project like this at all. Here's what she said earlier this week.
There is very clearly good and evil in this war. Ukrainians are fighting for their sovereignty and for democracy around the world. And we as a country have to be very, very clear that there can be no moral equivalency in our understanding of this conflict. It's not right for Canadian public money to be supporting the screening and production of a film like this.
You know, there's been so much, you and I are having the conversation, there's been so much conversation back and forth, you know, around this, and clearly with the demonstrations that we saw outside where the film was to be screened. But those in support of the film, Sarah, what are they saying?
Well, let's start with those who are behind it, those who produced this film. They have very quickly after TIFF pressed pause put out a statement on X. They're calling this news heartbreaking. They are as well condemning the pressure that has been expressed by public officials like Chrystia Freeland, who you just heard. Part of the statement that they put out reads, "This temporary suppression is shockingly un-Canadian. We call on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to fully investigate this affront from within a sovereign government to our democratic values and a free media." As for the director, Trofimova, she has previously, incidentally, worked for Radio Canada in CBC's Moscow bureau. Earlier this week, she spoke with our colleagues at CBC Radio in Toronto, and she said, unequivocally, she believes that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is unjustified and illegal, and that she made this film in hopes of showing something different, showing a different perspective, a different side to a story that is not usually seen in North America. But I want to play you a little bit of what she said in that interview.
In this war, which is full of this complete fog where both sides don't see each other, I had the chance to lift the veil a little bit on the reality of one of the sides that no one, especially Canadians, has heard from for the last 2.5 years. For me, this is in its core an anti-war film, because you cannot have peace without understanding, and you cannot have understanding without seeing each other.
Incidentally, she has faced public pressure and protest just earlier at the international premiere of this, the world premiere of Russians at War, which took place in Venice. That premiere did go ahead. As for TIFF, in addition, what they have also said, the Toronto International Film Festival, saying that they are committed to screening Russians at War, but when they believe it is safe to do so. Angie?
All right, we'll follow to see any further developments on this. Sarah, appreciate all the updates. Thank you for this. That is CBC's Sarah Galashan for us in Vancouver.